Hello everyone, today we are going to take a look at developer diary number 3 about trade and economics. And of course, technically I should start with developer diary number 2 about governments, politics and something else. But um, I find trade and economics a bit more interesting, and also I'm a little bit scared of trade mostly, not economics. That's something I can handle somehow. Maybe my Victoria Free playthrough um, doesn't prove the point. Yeah, well, yeah, I know I suck. But trade, this is something I'm scared of. I usually, first of all, don't find it very interesting. Um, Secondly, there is so much going on regarding trade that in most cases I feel truly overwhelmed. And I know that the trade in Europa Universalis 5 is even more complex, but maybe, that's the question, is also a little bit more satisfactory and straightforward. Can something be complex and straightforward at the same time? Yes, it can. It depends on how game provides hints, clues on certain system and how to deal with that. So, um, also, by the way, this is a good point. You don't need to know everything about certain systems. You need to know as much as you feel comfortable with and as much as it provides you enough tools and enough how to say that um, so the results coming from certain systems are good enough that you don't need to understand something even more. The knowledge you have is satisfactory enough that you can have fun with game without going even deeper into certain systems. So I hope that's the case in regarding trade in Europa Universalis 5. We will see. So let's start reading. I know this is quite a long development diary, and I think that's gonna take some time. So probably two parts, but let's see. Greetings once again, everyone, and welcome back to our Europa Universalis 5 Development Diary series. Development Diary? Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes they call it Developer Diary, and sometimes it's called Development Diary. I find development much easier to say, and it's much more natural. Okay, it doesn't matter. Today we are diving. We are diving. Jesus, today we are diving into one of the cornerstones of empire building, the economy. In Europa Universalis 5, we are designing an economic system that's not just about balancing the books, but about weaving together production, buildings, trade, and the prosperity of your people into a living, dynamic world of growth. Your challenge will be to harness these forces to strengthen your nation, expand its influence, and realize your imperial ambitions. Okay, very deep and profound words. Someone's calling me from Piła in Greater Poland. What the hell is that number? Okay, screw it. Let's continue. Production. To start things off, let's discuss production, the bedrock of your nation's wealth. Every location in Europa Universalis 5 has a type of raw material it produces, and to gather that raw material, you need to gather it whether it be farming, hunting, mining, extracting, or whatever else it may be. We call this raw material extractions, as a resource gathering operation. Resource gathering operation, that's the interesting name, or RGO for short. RGOs are staffed by a subgroup of the commoner class known as laborers, positioned just above peasants in the social hierarchy. Laborers from the backbone of Laborers form the backbone of your economy by working in RGOs, once again, resource gathering operations, as well as certain production buildings, ensuring the steady flow of raw materials your nation depends on. In some cases, in Europa Universalis 5, once again, resource gathering operations can also be worked on by slave pops. Ooh, sounds cool. And here we have resource gathering operation map mode. I just want to memorize that, so that's why I'm repeating it. Okay, yeah. That's huge. That's definitely impressive. Okay, can close that. The range of goods produced across the world in Europa Universalis 5 is vast and varied, from essential staples like grain and livestock to strategic resources such as iron, copper, and coal, and all the way to coveted luxuries like silk, cloths, and precious gems. What a location produces is shaped by these factors: geography and climate. The natural environment heavily influences production. Fertile plains favor grain harvests, while mountainous terrain may conceal rich mineral deposits. Climate determines what crops thrive and which resources are accessible, with certain raw materials tied to specific regions, for instance, cloves in Southeast Asia or cocoa in Central America. That's, yeah, well, sounds reasonable. Again, I asked that question a couple of times. I'm wondering whether it's AI generated or in any other way generated, and then they've selected certain parts of that regions and put specific minerals or resources or whatever. Like here in Aquitaine, we have a lot of wine, which kind of makes sense. In Silesia, which is somewhere here, we should see coal, probably some iron. There is salt, which is correct, I guess, because in that region we also have, for example, Wieliczka, which is the salt mine, basically. Uh, kind of makes sense to me. What else? We have that region in Germany, around Düsseldorf, north of Cologne, where there is supposedly a bit of coal. That sounds correct as well. So yeah, the basic question is whether it's. I believe this is in some way auto generated and then it was manually adjusted by the developers. But I talked about it, I mean, a few times. So let's just continue. Here we have cloths in Southeast Asia, the only place in the world where cloths exist in game start. Alright, yeah, there's very few of that, definitely. Interesting. Similarly, cocoa can only be found in Central and South America. Yeah, so here we have it. Yeah, well, Europe will fight for both. Historical context. Many locations begin with outputs that reflect their historical legacy. Yeah, well, that's what I've been talking about. A location famed for its winemaking will likely yield wine in Europa Universalis 5, while regions that hosted famous mines, such as those rich in silver or gold, will continue that tradition within the game. Okay, so here we have Siguiri, wherever it is. No idea, honestly. And here we have gold. Fair enough. What's next? Historical gold mines of Mali. Oh, that's Mali. Okay, now we know that. This is Mali, so that's Africa. Here we have Kutna, which is, I guess, in Bohemia or Moravia. The Bohemian silver mine of Kutna. Okay, so that's Bohemia. Pretty cool. Next, the resources produced in a location generally do not change. However, there are events and the Colombian exchange situation that can potentially change a location's RGO. While the type of resource is usually fixed, the potential level of an RGO is dynamic and shaped by many factors as your campaign progresses. Cool. So it means that resource is fixed to certain location, but the amount of that resource we can extract changes over time based on your, I don't know, technology, culture, whatever. Here are the key elements that influence RGO capacity and output in Europa Universalis 5. Infrastructure and population. Every RGO, resource gathering operation by the way, has a current level and maximum potential level. You can invest to raise the current level of RGO infrastructure towards the maximum level, but it won't operate at full capacity without sufficient labor or POPs. A larger population also increases the maximum level, allowing more resources to be gathered. Yeah, that's pretty obvious and simple. I like that. So here we have a city of Vijayanagar in the year 1580. This is India, I guess. Province Kampili. I guess so. That's India. Cotton. Yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, so we have plenty of information available. By the way, that tab looks pretty readable and clear. I like that. So you can just click plus or minus to either build or destroy certain building. And also we have number of pops for certain buildings. I mean, who is going to work where. I also assume this is the amount of free pops we can still use. And this is the maximum amount of pops which is working somewhere. Maybe. I'm just guessing. Okay, let's close that. Development. A location's development directly affects how far its resource gathering operation can be expanded. Higher development means greater potential, and development itself grows over time through prosperity, cabinet actions, estate privileges, events, parliament, and improvements such as road networks. Development of 57.37 has the following effects, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's plenty of statistics you should consider. You can analyze and have fun with them. So we have effects of allocation with 57 development. Okay, fair enough. Devastation, war, rebellion, natural disasters, or instability reduce productivity. A devastated province will underperform compared to a stable, peaceful one. That's all clear to me. Local modifiers. Some locations feature unique modifiers tied to geography, culture, or history that enhance or alter production. Here we have town of Dakhala. My god. Fertile Nile Delta is a location modifier throughout the Nile Delta, increasing output of food production. That makes sense, of course. That's historically and geographically correct. Awesome. And I believe this is the fixed modifier for that region. Location rank. Transitioning from a rural area to a town or city decreases the maximum RGO size, reflecting urbanization's shift away from raw resource extraction. That also makes a lot of sense to me, so I think it's pretty simple. And of course, technology. Advances in agriculture, mining, and manufacturing boost output. Certain advances are tied to specific goods output. For example, the slitting mills advance in the Age of Reformation increases iron production by 66% nationwide. Many other advances increase maximum levels of resource gathering operations throughout your nation. By the way, that name is just fine. I mean, I like to pronounce it. But international organization, I hate it. I absolutely hate that name. And not that one, international organization. But this is some type of a joke. Slitting mills advance Age of Reformation. Iron output plus 66%. Simple as that. Literacy. Higher literacy among laborers in a given location increases the potential size of resource gathering operations. So about literacy, my impression was that the higher literacy, the less people want to work in raw materials industry. That's what my understanding from, for example, Victoria 3. But looks like it makes actually sense to increase literacy everywhere now, which is fine. It's a bit more simple because you are not going now to try to balance it out like, okay, well, maybe I should increase literacy, but what if there is no single person wanting to work in my beautiful mines? Here it's quite straightforward, so I like it. Buildings, infrastructure such as windmills can improve output for specific goods, like boosting wheat and rice production in agricultural locations. There are also buildings that produce raw materials such as sand pits and salt collectors. Okay, here we have sand pit, 1,000 pops required. What else we have here? Default building time, market building cost. Of course, beautiful description like always, which I really like. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere. But I need it to run my other buildings, makes sense. Together, these systems ensure that resource production in Europa Universalis 5 is not static, but evolves alongside your nation's growth, technology, and the challenges it faces. Awesome. Yeah, I really like that it's some type of dynamic. Let's say it's not truly dynamic. It just I guess it changes mostly the values over time because we can improve our methods of production, technology, and so on. So yeah, that's gonna be, I mean, basically it will be increasing over time, I guess, unless something bad happens for us. Okay, so that's it about RGOs. Next we have buildings. It's only 15 minutes so far. So buildings is next. Let's see where we will finish with that. And then we have markets. Okay, let's go with buildings. That's where we will finish, and in the next episode we'll start with markets. So buildings. Buildings are the instruments through which you shape your locations and unlock their full potential. In Europa Universalis 5, they are far more than simple upgrades. Each structure serves a distinct purpose, influencing production, resource output, trade, and the character of your locations in meaningful ways. Buildings can be categorized into several types: basic, industry, and raw materials buildings. These buildings directly create goods by using other goods as input. Examples include Tools Guild, creating tools from iron, or a printing shop, creating books with lead, paper, lumber, and dyes. These buildings become better with further advancements with time, such as the Tools Guild becoming a tools workshop and eventually a tools factory. As mentioned earlier in this development diary, some of these goods that buildings produce are also extracted resources, while others are more complex goods that can only be produced in buildings. Here we have Tools Guild, and it says that possible production methods. From that we create that, I guess, and simple as that. Tools guilds are the only way to produce tools until the Age of Reformation. Next, we have infrastructure buildings. These are type of building that increase good output, population capacity, disease resistance, proximity cost, or development gain. Examples of this are the irrigation building or hospitals. And in case of irrigation, we just increase population capacity and also the food production. Yeah, quite straightforward. Irrigation buildings are a great way to increase population capacity in locations with rivers flowing through them. Oh, is that important that we have like rivers in certain locations or lakes or whatever? If that's true, that's even better. So I assume that you can build irrigation only in places where are rivers or lakes. Is that correct? We'll find out soon. Okay, next we have trade buildings. These structures enhance a location's role in the trade network, increasing the amount of trades your nation can do in the market the location is in, and increasing trade advantage, the level of trade power you exert in that given market. Examples of this are marketplaces and trade offices. So here we have marketplace, which increases burgers' power, by the way, by 10%. Pop assimilation speed, trade advantage, trade capacity, and burgers' trade capacity plus 20%. Marketplaces are a vital part in establishing strong trade power. Absolutely, I fully agree. All right, so the next one is military buildings, the one I like the most probably. These buildings support your military efforts by increasing monthly manpower and sailors. This also includes defensive buildings such as forts and bastions that make sieging your territory harder. And here we have armory, which increases monthly manpower and can recruit regiments here. So that's the first building allowing us to recruit regular army, the professionals. Fair enough. For most nations, the armor is the first building that produces monthly manpower. Okay, for most nations, but not for all of them. So that's curious. Fair enough. Next is villages. These are buildings that can only be built in rural locations of your nation, usually increasing food capacity in that location and giving other minor bonuses in exchange for peasants' power in the location. These buildings also produce some goods on their own, but are not as efficient as other production buildings. Examples of this are farming village or forest village. And now my question is, can we then change that forest village or farming village into town, city, or whatever? Because I guess that certain locations can develop over time, right? So for how long you are gonna keep that forest or farming village? Or maybe it doesn't make sense to change it though. It's like in Imperator Rome as well. Like we have different types of locations, and you have a village which is a more rural place where you can actually build mines and so on. And you also have those cities and towns. So yeah, that's interesting. A forest village may not be the most efficient building, but it employs peasants and it's cheap. Oh, also, so if you have surplus of peasants, and you cannot promote them just by increasing literacy because there's too many of them, and also your literacy level is too low and it's hard to increase it. Um, Also, I'm curious how that's gonna affect. By the way, so you have your own country, and I guess that literacy is spreading not uniformly, but it's more diverse depending on how well your country is connected and how much control you have over certain locations. So that's another level, another complexity to the all of that system. So yeah, the question is still the same. Maybe it actually makes sense to build such villages like farming or forest village just to employ your peasants and to make them satisfied. All right. What's next? Cultural buildings. These are buildings that help educate the masses or elevate cultural influence or tradition. Examples of this are the library and the theater. And here we have library, which increases cultural influence, pop promotion speed, monthly literacy, max literacy, and institution growth. Very nice. You know what I like more than my brand new Karak? Knowledge. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of a drink. Nice. Next is religious buildings. These are buildings devoted to religion within the realm and power of the clergy class. Examples of this are temples and cathedrals. So here we have temple. Here we can increase max literacy for clergy, max control and unrest, blah blah blah. So another interesting part, we have separate literacy levels for different groups. So I assume we have max literacy for clergy, max literacy for nobles, for peasants, for burghers, and so on. That's cool. That's definitely cool. I'm wondering how it works though. So temples are a great way to increase control in urban locations. Okay. Next, we have government buildings. These are buildings that generally impact your nation on a nationwide scale, giving bonuses such as crown power and cabinet efficiency. Many of these buildings are limited in number and can only be built in the capital. Examples of this are the Chancery or Royal Court. Royal Court is there. Crown power plus 10% and efficiency of our cabinet plus 2%. You can only have one royal court in your nation. I guess this is actually worth building though. If you can only have one, why not? By the way, it increases the crown power, and this is from the first age. So yeah, I think it's worth it. Okay, so that was the government buildings. Next we have location unique buildings. Okay, what's that? While buildings that only certain nations can build exist in Europa Universalis 5, such as the Janissary Barracks for the Ottomans or the Pretoria for Portugal, there are also unique buildings that are location specific. These buildings give unique modifiers, sometimes countrywide, that can only be built and upgraded in specific locations in the entire world. Examples of this are the Seljuk Mines in Sivas and Konya, or the library of Vijayanagar in the city of Vijayanagar. Oh my god, Jesus. How to pronounce that? Okay, Seljuk Mint in Sivas. Fair enough. Crown power increased. Local proximity source plus 5. Monthly development growth plus 2.50%. Whatever. Seljuk mints can only be built in the locations of Konya and Sivas. Okay. Many buildings will upgrade over time depending on advancements in research, and some buildings fit many of these roles in one building, such as a dock that gives more sailors for your navy while also reducing proximity cost through a port. So here we have dock, proximity cost through port, monthly sailors, shipbuilding capacity, harbor capacity, and can build ships here. And that's it. Docks give both sailors and proximity cost. Deciding which buildings to construct in location is always a strategic choice, guided by the broader direction of your empire. A nation striving for economic dominance will naturally favor different structures that once seek military supremacy or religious unity. These decisions are never made in isolation, as every building comes with an upfront cost and ongoing maintenance that must be balanced against the strength of your treasury. Progress and innovation also play a central role. More advanced structures can more advanced structures only become available after key technological breakthroughs, rewarding innovation and literacy. Um, there's a question how many of those buildings we can build in certain locations, how it's what's the capacity of the location, what's the capacity of the town, city, or whatever. This is quite crucial as well, at how you can actually increase the capacity in those locations, or whether at all you can do that. Maybe it's fixed and you can't do anything about it. Which would sack basically. I believe there is some way to increase that capacity because the nation is advancing. There is some progress. Cities, towns are expanding, as do villages. So that should create more space for newer buildings. Over time, a paper guild eventually can be upgraded to a paper factory. That makes a lot of sense to me. At the same time, access to the right raw materials is essential as many buildings require specific resources to be constructed in the first place and need goods to function properly. Hospital in Mysore. Mysore? I have no idea where it is. The hospital is operating at 83.33% due to lack of mercury. Oh, where it's written? Where's that value? Oh, here it is. Operating at blah 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 due to lack in mercury. Makes sense. I like that. I really like that. So it's not like you just build a building because you wanted. You also need to make sure that you have all required resources to fully operate it. That's awesome. That's really really cool. Because I hate when actually you can build something in the game which doesn't make any sense, but you can still do that. And for some unknown reasons it works just normal, but you know that historically or in real life it wouldn't make any sense. That's cool. I like that. Finally, the needs of your population cannot be ignored. Each pop group consumes different goods to maintain its satisfaction. The clergy may demand books and incense, the burghers may demand tea and fine cloth, and the nobility may demand weaponry and horses. Meeting this demand shapes markets and creates pressures you must navigate carefully. And here we have spending on pop needs: horses, pepper, books, fine cloth, salt, paper, jewelry, pearls, ivory, gold or ivory, weaponry, amber, saffron, gems. Goods demand of the nobility as Naples in 1580. Well, that sounds that looks like a lot of ducats, a lot of gold. Okay, in Europa Universalis 5, buildings sit at the heart of a living economic cycle. Raw materials fuel construction, buildings drive production, and that production strengthens both your markets and your empire's growth. Mastering this cycle is what allows you to transform ordinary locations into flourishing centers of power, prosperity, and development. Honestly, that system looks very promising to me. That might be really satisfactory just to focus on your internal economy. Focus on uh, balancing your buildings, on selecting proper locations, what to build where, and so on. Checking statistics, looking at different technologies to increase. I don't know, like here, iron output because you can actually extract a lot of iron in your country because you are, well, Bohemia, for example, or whatever, or Sweden. So yeah, I like that. I like that. It doesn't look too much complicated. Seems to be quite straightforward. Is somewhat complex under the hood because we have uh, different needs for different buildings, and if you want to fully operate your buildings, you're gonna need certain materials as well. Sometimes you can extract all of them in your country. Sometimes it won't be possible, so you have to focus on trade, which we will analyze in the next episode. So for today, that's it. Hope you like it, and hopefully see you in the next one where we'll focus on markets as I've already mentioned. So once again for today, and see you next time. Goodbye.